There has never been a more important time to keep your finger on the pulse of the key performance indicators in the Australian property market. So when we look at Australia's largest capital cities, what's actually happened across Australia over the last month?
So to start at the biggest capital cities, and then we'll work our way down to the smallest capital cities. Sydney has declined in value over the month of July by 1.4%. Melbourne, a little less than that at 1.2%. And Brisbane, a small decline of 0.6% over the last month. Now, as we look into our smaller capital cities, Perth increased marginally by 0.1%. There was a small decline of 0.2% in Adelaide, 0.1% decline in Canberra, whereas Hobart went up by 0.1%, and Darwin was Australia's top performing capital city over the last month, increasing by just 0.8%. So seeing a slowdown in all of the major metro markets in comparison to previous months.
It's pretty clear across Australia that there's a bit of a pause or a slight slowdown going on across the markets right now, but how have things fared over the last 12 months in the capital cities around the country?
Outside of Sydney and Melbourne, it has been an incredible 12 months for our smaller capital cities. So yes, Sydney and Melbourne have declined. Sydney by 2%, Melbourne by 2.8%, which isn't really that much over the past 12 months. Whereas Brisbane, Perth and Adelaide have continued to crush it. Brisbane property values up 14.8% over the last 12 months. Perth property values still up over 20% in the last 12 months, which is just insane. And Adelaide with an annual capital growth rate of 10.5%. Now looking into those smaller capital cities, Canberra was up by just 1% over the last 12 months, so property values haven't really moved there in the last 12 months. But Hobart and Canberra have had a great 12 months. Hobart property values up 9.3% and Darwin property values up 16.3%. So despite what you'll see in the headlines, we can clearly see that most of the metro markets have seen incredible capital growth over the last 12 months, and we've just seen a small slowdown in Sydney and Melbourne.
Now, for those of you who haven't met us before, my name's Ben and this is my brother Simon. We're investors, we're buyer's agents, and we're fathers. We also absolutely love life and we love property. Now, for those of you out there who haven't already subscribed to our channel, we'd really appreciate it if you could do so that we can continue to bring you the best content and market insights on the Australian property market each month. Now, getting straight back into the numbers, vacancy rates across the country's capital cities at the moment are the lowest that I've ever seen as an investor in the last 16 years. So how are each of Australia's capital cities faring at the moment?
So we pull this data from SQM Research every single month and we get a nice snapshot as to what's going on with the rental market around Australia. Now, 5 of the 8 capital cities are currently recording a vacancy rate below 1% right now, which is chronically undersupplied. That being said, Sydney, Melbourne and Canberra are all recording a vacancy rate below 2%. Now, we know that a balanced market is about a 3% vacancy rate right now. So to see everything below 2% and most markets below 1% right now, it is really tough for tenants out there. And that's why we're also starting to see rents rise across the board.
Now, when we look at auction clearance rates across the country over the last month, they've been extremely subdued as expected with the sentiment in the market at the moment. That said, one market, which is also the top performing market in Australia in the last 12 months, which is Perth, saw auction clearance rates sitting at over 87.5%, which is extremely strong.
Now, according to ANZ's Roy Morgan report, we're finally starting to see a slight increase in consumer confidence. It was up 3.5 points over the last month to 74.7 points. Now, while it's great to see these numbers slowly start to increase, it's still well below the historic average of 106.4 points.
In the last month, I was lucky enough to head over to America with my family, and what I noticed outside of having an absolute ball over there was a complete split in what's going on in Australia compared to what's going on in America right now. Now, what I've observed in Australia over the last 9 months has been so much fear, so much pessimism, so many negative stories, and people just really putting their head in the sand at the moment and just sort of freaking out about the future and almost sort of giving up on the Australian dream, which is financial freedom and a life filled with choices. Now, what I observed in America was the complete opposite. I couldn't believe how good people felt about how things were going over there at the moment, and the economy looked like it was absolutely thriving with people spending money everywhere. Now, as soon as I got back, I reached out to Ray, who's one of our ex-corporate banking clients, to see and get his take on what's going on between the two countries. And he said in America that most Americans are still sitting on a 2% fixed 30-year home loan at the moment, which is taking so much pressure off their average household expenses. On top of this, Trump has brought so much manufacturing back to America that literally every single place that I was at had signs up looking for workers. And then on top of this, it looked like they'd begun to completely adopt AI and integrate it into their normal life, which was obviously creating massive efficiencies in the economy, which meant that people seemed to be working a little bit less and making a little bit more, which was crazy to see. Now, the general feeling on the ground, having talked to a lot of Americans over there, sometimes on the beers, sometimes not, was that things were heading in the right direction, that they felt confident about their future, and that they know the bumps and bruises that they've gone through post-COVID are almost over.
To be honest, I'd probably be feeling a lot better if my interest rates were 4% lower than they are right now as well. So no wonder. But I totally hear you, and I've been feeling the exact same way with my social media algorithms and the information that I'm consuming at the moment. But when we actually look at the numbers, unemployment rate stayed steady at 4.4% over the last month. So there's plenty of employment opportunities in the country at the moment. And if you want to go out there and get a job, there is obviously those opportunities. Now, over the last 35 years, the average interest rate has been about 6.86%. So we can see right now that the average variable rate is slightly above the averages of the last 35 years, but the average fix is slightly below the last 35 years. So interesting to see where interest rates are heading. Obviously, in the most recent CPI data, we've seen inflation remain at a similar level. So we've got the update coming out from the RBA in a week or two. We'll obviously see whether they're going to hold, increase or decrease rates.
Now, I think something that's so important that you and I were just talking about off camera, or a little pause as we're filming this, was just your personal rates. Like, what did you say they're at?
Yeah, my owner-occupied rate is at 5.9% at the moment, and my investment interest-only loans are currently sitting at 6.2%.
I think one of the most important things that we can do as investors at the moment is take control of our investment lives again. If you're not planning on buying a property, completely cool. But if you've got your own home, or if you've got investments, or you were lucky enough to buy something in super before they just closed that window, then go and smash your mortgage broker and get a rate like Simon has, or I have at the moment, which is almost 1 full percent lower than what we're talking about as the average online. And that might not sound like a lot, but if you're sitting on $1 million of debt and you can save 1%, that is $10,000 or $200 per week for your family's household that you can save by just picking up the phone and threatening to move to another bank. Now, when we look at the total number of listings across Australia, I want to high five you guys, because for the first time, we've actually got some more supply. Not a massive amount more, but for the first time in years and years and years in the major metro markets around the country, there's a little bit more supply, which puts us again in the driver's seat as the ones that can negotiate on prices and get better deals for ourselves. On top of this, over the last month, for the first time in almost 2 years, we saw the number of distressed listings across Australia slightly increase year on year by just under 1%. Now, while that is not statistically significant at this stage, it means that more people are feeling the pinch of the cost of living and these higher interest rates, which again puts you in the driver's seat as a home buyer or an investor moving forward over the next 6 to probably 9 months.
Now, to be completely honest, we all know it's been difficult to find that positive news, but we've been searching and finally we're starting to see that media cycle shift to a few positive things. Now, you received a great article from realestate.com just the other day that was looking at the state of the Australian housing market coming into the back end of 2026 and then starting into the new year in 2027. What were some of the numbers?
Now, according to one of the senior analysts over there at Property Track, we should see prices in some markets begin to stabilize between now and Christmas, while we see a slight decline in other markets between now and then. But his forecasts and expectations are actually quite bullish. As we get towards Christmas and into the new year, he's expecting the average house across Australia's capital cities in the year of 2027 to go up by about 5.5%, with certain markets like Melbourne, Perth, Brisbane and Hobart expected to go up by as much as 6 to 7% in the new year. Now, stepping away from the data for a moment, let's take a look at the property of the month.
Now, as my colleague Tim would say, this property was an absolute banger. Just being a short walk to the beach. Literally, all you got to do is walk through the back gate, across the golf course, and you are on the beach. And we picked this property up for $650,000, located on a 604 square metre block of land. It's a low set, brick and tile, 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. The rental appraisal came in at 4.16% with a rental expectation of $520 per week. which is just incredible. Most people believe that there is no strong yields in Victoria at the moment, but that's better than anything that I've seen in Queensland, especially on a single income property of late. But what I love about this property is the massive flat backyard that overlooks the golf course as well, where our client believes that he will be able to build a granny flat back there, a little 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 60 square meter granny flat, which the property manager thinks will rent for an extra $400 per week. So absolute cracking property. Big block of land, well located in a nice suburb called Clifton Springs. It really blows my mind that you can still pick properties up this close to the beach for less than $700,000.
Now, when we look at this particular suburb over the last 5 years, it has only actually done 18% or an average of 3.6% per annum. Now, when you compare that to the average property in Brisbane, Adelaide, or Perth over the same period of time that has almost done over 100% growth, you start to see the value in the Victorian market right now. And when we take a longer term view and look at the Geelong market between 2007 to the end of 2015, according to HTAG, Geelong did over 271% growth. And so what we've got here is a market that's absolutely crushed it longer term, that's taken an absolute bath in the short term, and that's why this is the property of the month. G'day guys, my name's Ben and I'm the director here at Pumped on Property, and I just want to say a massive thank you for watching our content today. Now, if you're thinking about buying an investment property in the next 3 to 12 months, then the team and I would love to offer you a one-on-one strategy session. In that session, we can talk about exactly where you are right now, where you'd like to be longer term, and we can deeply educate you on the Australian market. And then you can take that information and go and absolutely smash it on your own, or potentially become one of the small number of clients that we work with each week. To book your session, all you have to do is go to www.pumpedonproperty.com and click that book your free strategy session button. But either way, we wish you all the best on your journey as an investor to financial freedom.